it's also a hormone that inhibits your release of prolactin, which is a hormone that helps you release milk or something. Now, the point there is that it's a hormone. It's not that exciting. In another context, in the brain, on behavior, it's a lot more exciting. So that's kind of the key point there. And another thing to take away from these examples is that the same hormone can be used in many different places depending on where the receptors are and have very different effects depending on where it is. Cool. That's pretty much all I've got for this first part of the lecture. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. Yeah?
Why does dopamine inhibit prolactin?
So dopamine can be secreted. Dopamine is just, it's a neurotransmitter, a hormone. It's just a protein that's secreted by the hypothalamus in this case, pumped through the pituitary, and tells it not to secrete prolactin. That's just what it does.
I was just curious about like in life, like dopamine's like a happy thing, and like breastfeeding is associated with happiness. So I just wanted to check.
Okay, well, no, that's an interesting point. Dopamine is associated with happiness in all these articles that you read about dopamine in the reward pathway. What I'm talking about here is dopamine, just this old protein, dopamine, in a completely different context. And the important part there is that there's a few hormones, a few neurotransmitters, sometimes they're the same thing, and they have vastly different effects depending on the context they're used in. When you think about dopamine as this happy hormone or happy neurotransmitter, it's in the context of the reward pathway, the dopamine reward pathway, which is a specific pathway in your brain that we'll talk about more. Here, it's a very different pathway. It's not the happiness pathway, but it has an effect there too. So depending on where you're talking about, you get different effects.
How does the rest of the brain communicate with the hypothalamus to say stress hormones? Like, what is the connection there? What parts of the brain are talking to the hypothalamus?
Yeah, I forgot the word good. Okay, great question. That was the topic of Monday's lecture. How does the hypothalamus, a part of your brain, a part of your nervous system, communicate with all these other parts of your brain? Neurons, action potentials. This is the whole world of action potentials going over here and going over here and going back to here and over there too. Everything in your brain is happening through neurotransmitters and action potentials. Once it reaches the hypothalamus, you get this switch to hormone-based communication to the pituitary on the anterior side and hormone regulation of the body.
What about serotonin? Is it like comparable?
That's pretty close. Nice catch.
Is it like comparable to dopamine at all?
Yeah, serotonin is comparable to dopamine in the sense that it's used as a neurotransmitter in many pathways in your brain. Vineet, I think it was Vineet last time, maybe it was Mega, who talked about how in 2 different diseases you have too much serotonin at one end or too little at another end, and you actually get, as a side effect of medication for one disease, the symptoms of the other disease. That's another example of how serotonin, this hormone, or in this case neurotransmitter, can have different effects based on where it is. So I don't know that serotonin is used as a hormone in the body, meaning I don't know if it travels through the bloodstream or if it is only a neurotransmitter, but there's no reason why it couldn't be.
So if neurotransmitter or if hormones have different functions in different parts of the body, how do you select for one function?
What's that?
How do you select for one function and not the other? How does the body do that?
What do you mean by select? Are you talking about evolutionary selection?
So if the body just needs one function from this hormone, but the hormone travels freely in the blood, how does the hormone not activate other parts of the body?
Well, I'm sure it's very context dependent, but one potential answer is that it does actually. And that's the whole world of, you take a medication that's supposed to target this one symptom and you actually get a whole bunch of side effects. A lot of proteins or messengers or hormones or neurotransmitters have effects on a lot of other pathways. I can imagine a scenario where you secrete a neurotransmitter or hormone, and in order to prevent its effect on another pathway, that other pathway is actually secreting something in advance to tell it, don't pay attention to that signal. In that case, you have a part of your body be prepared to say, don't listen to the signal. Maybe when you take medication, that other pathway wasn't prepared to say don't pay attention to that signal, and that's where you get a whole lot of side effects. I don't know, I just made that up, but it's possible. By the way, if other chicks who are more specialized than me have like things to say about these things, please just jump in.
Great.
Cool, I think that's it. We'll have a 5-minute break. Unless, anything you guys want to add about the endocrine system? Cool. Okay.